Bus compression. What the hell does that mean? Bus compression is a mixing technique that is as old as time itself. Many moons ago, some absolute mad lads discovered that by adding some slight compression across the entirety of a mix at the mix bus, it was a neat way to add a sense of cohesiveness, a sense of glue, and a sense of energy to a mix. Console manufacturers like Neve, SSL, and API began to add compression circuits to the main bus section of their consoles to accomplish just that. The sounds of these compression circuits became the stuff of legends. Literally, every single album that you've heard for the last 50 plus years has some form of compression across the mix bus. As music creation shifted from the world of resistors, capacitors, transistors, op amps, transformers, and tape and into the digital domain, companies making digital tools to manipulate audio realized that the sound of this console-style bus compression was something that was missing from the toolkit of the modern producer. As time moved along and computers got more powerful, component-level modeling technologies were born and they began to evolve. What that means is that complete digital recreations of a circuit can be created, and each component of the signal path and its unique reaction to the source signal is recreated in the digital domain. It'll produce an end result that is wildly close to the sound of the original hardware. In many cases, they have additional convenience features that were absent on the original circuits, such as the addition of a built-in sidechain high-pass filter, which is used to keep the low-end content of a mix from triggering the compression. That can be perceived as something called mix pumping. It can work for certain, specifically electronic music genres, but it can be an undesirable artifact in a genre like metal with big low-end and fast kick drums. Fast forward to the early 2010s, when I was beginning my own audio production journey with my laptop and my Line 6 interface, and I was learning how to manipulate sound. I learned about this mythical technique known as bus compression. On the 23rd of May in 2014, I hit up my Sweetwater dude, and I grabbed a bundle of plugins from Slate Digital. Among these plugins was the Virtual Bus Compressors bundle. I fell in love with bus compression immediately. 8 years on, I have a much greater understanding of the fundamentals of bus compression as a technique to achieve a desired result. The plugin FG Gray from that bundle has lived on my mix bus that entire time. It became an integral piece of my workflow into the sound of my mixes. If you were drawn to this channel because you heard my mixes, you've heard that plugin. I've tried other bus comp plugins, and I like some of them. I really like Plugin Alliance's Shadow Hills. It's awesome. But even still, none of that has managed to replace FG Gray in my everyday, every mix workflow. Now that we know a little bit about the history of bus compression and the most common application, we'll circle back around to the point of this video. Is the software as good as the hardware? Does it truly sound the same? Is there a difference? Well, if there's one thing I love, it's experimentation, so y'all buckle up, we're gonna fuck around and find out. Slate's FG Gray is a digital recreation of an SSL-style bus compressor. Behind me, racked up, I have Warm Audio's recreation of an SSL-style bus compressor. We're gonna do a direct A/B of the plugin versus the hardware. I'm not going to go into the specifics of why the compressor is set the way that it is. I'm just going for a direct one-to-one comparison here. I'm going to use a mix that I did for British prog rock metal band Inflexion, who I have linked below in the description. I highly recommend you check these guys out. They shred. And if you're a guitar nerd like me, Mark has some of the sickest Aristides guitars. So watch his videos and nerd out after you finish this one. Now, let's dive into some audio examples. All right, so we're going to jump over into the audio example portion of this video, and I'm just going to start the song, and I'm going to flip back and forth between the software and the hardware bus compressor. To patch in the bus compressor, I'm using this plugin called Pipeline XT from Studio One, and what this allows you to do is set up hardware inserts. I have this guy here. You can see it goes to output 5 and 6, and the input is input 7 and 8. So that's the bus comp output, the bus comp input, and it basically just makes an effects loop with a hardware send to let me patch in this compressor. So here we go. You can hear that there's definitely a difference there. I'm going to try to kind of verbalize what the differences are that I'm hearing. The low end on the hardware track just seems like it's extended. There's more weight to it, especially on the kick drum. You can really kind of perceive more weight on that, the hardware compressor. And then on the upper mids, you get some extra kind of cohesion, especially in like the guitar and the saxophone, when they're playing like the melody parts together. They just kind of gel a bit more. And on the high end, the cymbals kind of have a bit more brightness on the hardware, but the top end is also kind of softened on the hardware. So it's really interesting, and I'm gonna jump around to the guitar solo and the sax solo section in the song, because there you can really get a sense of the upper mid emphasis that happens when you patch in the hardware compressor on the guitar solo and the sax. It just kind of has a bit more like bite and meanness to it, which is really a pleasing thing to my ears. All right, now you've seen and heard firsthand that there is a difference. The software does a great job. It does add glue, it does add cohesiveness, and it does add energy. But something about sending that signal out of the box and into some real components does add something to a sound. It's imperfect, it's wild, but it is energy, it is weight, and it is power that absolutely is absent from the more pristine and clean sound of the digital recreation. The magic sauce that comes from those real-world circuits cannot be denied. I was expecting maybe a 3 to 5% difference from adding this to the signal chain, especially since the settings are identical, but what I got was much more. So much more so that when I asked my wife Bonnie, who rules by the way, but has normie ears, not producer ears, she even had an old shit moment when I let her hear the AB. I hope you enjoyed this video. Drop a like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, I am Jason, and thank you for watching.